Hi guys, Blair here with Tactical Review. And in this episode, I wanted to talk about handguards. Now, a few weeks back, I was fortunate enough to be able to procure my first AR. You can see here, I've got a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2, classic M4 type design, and I haven't had any problems out of it. So far, I've put about 500 rounds or so downrange, and the only failure I had out of it was when I made the mistake of riding the charging handle home. Pro tip, don't do that. The only complaint I've had is, as you can see, I've got no room for any accessories forward of the receiver. So I set out looking at my options to change that situation. And there are a lot of good-looking, budget-friendly options out there. When I first started looking, I was leaning heavily towards the Strike Industries Viper handguard. It has, 4 M-Lok rails. It's made to be a drop-in handguard. Toolless assembly, heat shield. It was a nice looking unit. The only complaint I had seen about it in any of the reviews was that the polymer M-Lok rails would occasionally have a habit of spinning out. And that was a gamble I was willing to take, especially because I was finding them around $25, $26 shipped off of vendors such as Cheaper Than Dirt. But then one problem I had out of the Viper was that instead of having attachment points top, bottom, and on the sides, or 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, the attachment points on that Viper piece were 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. So that meant that I couldn't have any attachments directly on the sides. And then I found an accessory. I'm not going to spoil it, but I definitely was going to need attachment points along the sides of my rail. And so I started looking into budget-friendly alternatives that had 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock attachment points. And as a matter of fact, I realized that I was going to end up wanting attachment points in front of my front sight here. So I had found a 10.5 inch drop-in quad rail. Reviews on it were really good. It's a quad rail. There's not a lot you can do with it to mess that up, I wouldn't think. But it weighed in at 18 ounces. And my thought was, well, it's just barely a pound. It's not a big deal. So to test that out, I popped off the factory handguard and I weighed it, and then I added rounds to the scale until I got up to 18 ounces. Put the handguard back on, and then used some painter's tape and secured those rounds around the handguard and just in front of the front sight. And guys, I'm here to tell you that an extra 18 ounces in front of the receiver, I can see where that would get tiring in a hurry. And I was thinking, I'm going to go ahead and just go with that. That's why I hit the gym. But I wasn't happy with that. That's extra weight, and you've got to think, that's 42 inches of rail, and I'm not going to ever need most of that. So that's a lot of weight that I'll probably never need, and that's weight that could go towards other accessories, whether they're tactical lights or lasers or hand grips or you name it. All of that stuff adds weight, so if I could save weight with the rails, I wanted to. Now, I wasn't looking to go to the time, trouble, and expense of changing out the gas block so that I could go with a full float system. And I was really not wanting to spend upwards of $100 on a drop-in system. So, as is the goal of this channel, I got digging around. Obviously, I read reviews. I'm not just going to throw my money at whatever. And I think I found a good solution. Just give me a second here. What I got in is I found a reputable seller off of eBay because, of course, a good product from a bad vendor is still not a great value. And what I came up with was this 13.5 inch drop-in handguard. It's an M-Lok system from Vism. And the reviews on it are fairly positive. I really, aside from just open it a little bit and take a peek at it, this is mostly my unboxing here. It's a fairly solid looking piece. Get this out of the bag here and I'll hold it up. Not a lot to it. Comes with the Allen wrenches that you'll need for installation and for moving the M-Lok rails that it comes with around. It's I don't get any flex out of this. And earlier when I opened it up, I did check to make sure that my M-Lok slots here match the M-Lok specification. That's available online. They are 7 millimeters tall, if I remember correctly, 32 millimeters long, and 8 millimeters in between, just like the specification calls out. And then the one last thing I want to check, grab my straight edge back here, see if I can get in close enough to the camera to check this. Obviously, if the Picatinny across the top isn't straight, then it's not going to secure anything at all. So here we go, and no gaps there as I run it along my straight edge. So far so good. I was seeing similar units, not exact, but similar, on Cheaper Than Dirt and Brownells and a lot of the different online vendors that I look at. Name brand now. Again, name brand. For a lower profile drop-in handguard with either M-Lok or key lock, those were starting around $130 and up. Obviously, if you've looked at handguards, you know that you can very easily get into several $100s. The least expensive drop-in that I saw that was full quad rail, going with a better name brand, or a more well-known name brand, let me put it that way, there's a Leapers unit. It's full quad rail. It's an 1.5 inches longer. It's a 15-inch piece, and it was going for $80. So I got this guy for $45. Saw a lot of listings on Amazon or on eBay, excuse me, for the $45 to $55 range, including shipping. I went with this seller because they had really good feedback for the seller and a very generous return policy, because I'm going to be unboxing most of these accessories for this review video, and then we'll get out to the range, we'll take a look at it, and if it's not any good, I'm going to send it back. So the one complaint I saw on this unit here had to do with the quality of the screws. I figure for $45, if I happen to snap one of these screws off putting it in, I will go to the hardware store and get some other ones. And just to make sure that everything goes well, I've got the old blue thread sealant. So I'm going to get this put on real quick. We'll be doing a jump cut in the video just so I don't run afoul of any of eBay's ever-changing rules concerning showing how to assemble or put accessories on firearms. And we'll take a look at the rifle here in just a few minutes once I get this in place. Alright guys, and we're back. I realized that for you it was an instant jump. For me, it took 11 minutes, including Loctiting those screws so they don't go anywhere. I didn't see any issues with the quality of the fasteners provided in this kit. None of them spun off when I was trying to torque it down or anything. And really the hardest part was I did this without a delta ring tool. So if you have one of those, or you can get a kit that comes with one of those, hey, great. Otherwise, super simple. It goes on easier. The new handguard goes on easier than the old handguard comes off. And there we have it. Let me step back so we've got the whole end and frame. There you go. I like the looks of it. It does obviously add a little bit of weight to the forend of this weapon, but without the included rail sections attached, it adds roughly, I'm trying to remember what the stock handguard weighs, something around 3.5 ounces. So it adds about 7 ounces of weight to the weapon, but that's weight then that can be used. Again, I now have 13.5 inches to attach 45-degree backup iron sights, lasers, lights, hand grips, whatever I want that I couldn't before. So obviously you can see out the window behind me, it is nighttime. I can't get to the range with this right now, unfortunately, but we'll get to the range. I'm going to see how it feels in the hands for myself, and then see about putting this weapon in the hands of a former action guy and get his take on this handguard, see how he feels like it might stand up to the rigors of actual tactical usage. So I'm going to say goodnight for right now. We'll pick this video up later and see how this guy does on the range. Well, it has been just over a week since I first put on my Vism handguard. I finally had a chance to get to the range with it today. Only put about 90 rounds downrange. Was getting my iron sights sighted in finally, and my reflex optic. Have to say huge thank you to Carl and the guys over at Tactical Rifleman. If you haven't subscribed to them, you need to go ahead and hit pause here and go do that. And then, anyway, you can come back and finish this video. But thank you to you guys. Number one, thank you for your service. I so appreciate everybody who has given their time to help secure my freedom. Secondly, I want to thank those guys for their videos on sighting in irons and reflex optics. I got everything sighted in on one target in about 18 rounds, and it should have been 15, but I took my rear sight the wrong direction for my second series of 3 and didn't even hit paper, so they were kind of thrown away. Anyhow, I have yet to get this in the hands of my brother-in-law, who is also a combat veteran. Really want his take on it. I have to say, I am just as pleased with it after an afternoon on the range as I was the day that I unboxed it. All 6 screws still appear to be snug. I do not yet have a screw loose. Just don't ask my wife that. She may not tell you the same thing. The one complaint I had with it, and it was something I was afraid was going to be a problem, I'm sure it would be a problem on any drop-in style handguard that extends past the front sight base, is, and I don't know if you can see this up on the video or not, we've got this cutout here for the bayonet lug. The bayonet lug gets warm if you are using a far forward C-grip style grip, which I started using today. Again, shout out to Tactical Rifleman for that. Awesome recoil control. That bayonet lug gets warm. My temporary solution is simply going to be to wear a pair of gloves while I'm firing it, or grip a little further forward. In long term, I do intend on getting a front hand grip on the weapon, and that will alleviate the problem entirely. As far as heat management and dissipation, forward of the gas block, there was no heat to speak of, aside again from the bayonet lug, which is part of the gas block. After I fired off
My second two mags were a quick 60 rounds with a mag change in the middle, just to see how I was faring on paper with the reflex optic. And when I got done, went to go back to the bench at the range and put my hand here. There was heat, but nothing that was unusable. So if I was doing a closer grip, absolutely would have been manageable. Again, with a pair of gloves, it would be completely negligible. So honestly, I'm going to call this inexpensive Vism handguard a success. Everything looks square. It's lightweight. I don't notice a huge difference. Again, back here by the gas tube, definitely a little bit more heat is noticeable than with the factory handguard. But you're not putting any accessories on this guy. So if you have anything that needs to go forward to the receiver, you have to replace it. I'm going to go ahead and call it, just based on common sense and overall build quality. If you're looking for a budget handguard that simulates a free float barrel and gives you real estate forward of your front sight base, look for a quality seller, a quality vendor, but I don't see any reason to not recommend the Vism handguard. Again, the one recommendation I'm going to make based on other reviewers and common sense is put you a little bit of Loctite on all 6 of those screws and just torque them to spec. I didn't see any specs. Okay, I say torque them to spec. Use common sense there. I'd say similar if you've actually got a torque screwdriver, probably that like 25 inch-pounds or so that you'd usually put rail accessories on with. Otherwise, with the included Allen wrench, just take them down snug. Make sure stuff's not going to fall apart. So as much as I wanted to get a range day on film with my brother-in-law, I don't think we're going to go that route on this particular accessory. I'm going to call it a goodbye. So with that, thanks for watching. This is a Tactical Review, and until next time, stay safe, shoot straight.